Oh, we
Sorry,
can
hello,
hear you
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. Yes, thanks again. I was just saying I was thanking everybody for a great night. It's first time here and I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. It's a poem called A Vision, or Aisling. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Barefoot, I walked along the beach alone. The sea tide erased my footprints as I walked. Soft, wet sand gave way to each step I took. Then I saw her cross-legged in meditation. By the shore's edge, I found her. A blue light shimmering around her, radiant and cool. Without words, she beckoned me to her side. Then, in a moment's breath, we were flying through the air, rising through the clouds, swooping down towards the face of the sea and skimming the white flecked waves. We traveled onwards towards a dawning rise. The rushing air billowed our garments as we flew, until a city of minarets and towers came into view, her walls white and glistening in the morning sun. Behold, she said, fair Murias, the morning star, a city of the children of Danu, where your Therapy and her sisters dwell, the giver of delight, the creative fire of worded sound, and of music too and song. We stayed there a while, amidst the teeming markets, the sunlight sparkling on water flowing from fountains fair, the sound of panpipes, flutes, and song filled the air as the day aged towards evening. We lay on soft couches, ate and drank of bread and honey, of sweet fruits, of cinnamon cakes and cold crimson wine. Then reaching out with the evening on her lips, with fingers soft, she touched my forehead gently and said, traveler, our reveries here must pass. We must leave this place, we cannot stay. I slowly awakened, warm air bellying the curtains softly in my room, and felt through half-shut eyelids the warmth of the morning sun on my face. Well, that's the first one, Vision. And the second one I have for you, if I just say for our friends abroad, Livia, that's referred to in the title, is the River Liffey, and our names mentioned in the poem, which range from rock guitarists through poets, politicians, and revolutionary leaders. So it's a bit of a ride. So I'll take you through it. It's called Valhalla by the Livia. On a Sunday's day, I turned my troop of horse onto Parliament Street, and there ahead of us, by Dublin Castle, another troop stood in line of attack. There astride his horse, with Gallagher and Moore flanked him in a company of a dozen other heroes, sat Phil Lynott. I hailed him and cried, nothing ever good came out of Crumlin, Philo. Laughing, we both drew our sabres and charged. Our troops of horse sabres met, flashing in the Dublin sun. Then the cries went up, enough of this play, to the brazen head, for more than one, for a bird never flew on one wing, and the thirst is on all of us. Froth spooned tankards of ale, sweetmeats and whiskey, fine wine and song were in the fore, and the order of the day at the Brazen Head Tavern by Anna Livia herself. It was black to the door, full of cavaliers, each man a hero. Tone, Lord Edward, and Henry Joy getting the crack in with extra orders. Parnell, O'Connell, and Heaney too. Then Hugh himself arrived from Derry just in time to stand around. They were all there, ancient and modern, and our enemies too, old and new, to raise our glasses in common fellowship. The day the Cavaliers met in a Brazen Head on a fine summer's day in Dublin City. Through the night, the reveries ran, and then, just as the morning sun began to warm the day, redding over Liffey waters, tired riders began to seek their mounts, some to seek rest before the wreck's rout, in the Valhalla by the Livia. Philo to court, a girl with green eyes, and we left a bill to be paid by Cromwell, as it was his shout this time. That's it. Thank you very much, everybody. Back to you, Lauren.
Thank you very much, Cathal.
Not at all.
Next up, we have the founder of DeBarra Spoken Word, without whom none of us would be here tonight, the Honourable Nick Smith.
Stop.
Godfather.
Bless you, all those who have stepped into the breach. Well done, Moze, etc. A great job being done. This is a little bit of prose I can get it up. Where is it? Back to basalt. It's a snippet from something else. It's not very long. It's called Fishing for Rocks of a Sedimentary Disposition. I knew from experience that paleontology, the study of fossils, could be a dangerous business. Combine this hobby with a passion for coarse fishing, and they have the capacity for disaster. As a child, angling was my passion. I spent hours mesmerized by the fluorescent tip of the float, carried in eddies or lazy currents, awaiting a bite. I willed the float to dip and bob, make its erratic journey before disappearing beneath the surface. I would relish the conflict between my quarry and the tip of the rod, waiting with excitement to see what I had hooked. All I needed was a bait, a meadow-flanked stretch of river, meandering from its source with no urgency, on its own particular journey of discovery. That day I had strayed onto land I knew to be private, but which had excellent river frontage. I approached quietly in the bird's song and lay across the river bank, cushion-cropped by ducks and swans. I studied my reflection in the slowly moving waters, was almost lost in meditation, when a piece of torn parchment bubbled from the deep before me. It carried text written in some spidery hand that, even as it dissolved, I knew was apportioned to me, part of my genealogy from some broader script. I resented the intrusion, yet before it could be carried away, I had plucked the paper from the surface. The words were illegible, carried some deeper portend. At the same moment, something stirred beneath my oily reflection, a shadow that regarded me with knowing. It caused me to flinch and move back to the safety of the longer grasses. I guessed it was probably a chub or maybe a large pike. I was, as usual, fearful of what lurked beneath such placid waters. If hooked, would I be able to land my prize, or would it be beyond my bargaining? For all my apprehension, I couldn't resist the urge and reached for my rod and line. Before it could fall apart, I crumpled the sodden sheet, mixed it with a bit of bread and cheese. I added my own bit of spittled DNA, molded the lot into a ball, buried the hook at its center, and cast. The bait, together with weight and float, cavorted over the water, suspended in a fixed parabola resisting gravity. The lure twisted and air danced as eddies and ruffles disturbed the surface from below in the manner of a trout about to leap. My boyish enthusiasm longed to see the fish strike, whatever it was. The swirling waters grew impatient and turned a frothy disturbance that set my heart racing. They broke with an explosion of spray, and a wild flailing arm, grey, pitted and rubbery, thrashed around, fingers clawing at the air. Half sitting, I scuttled backwards like a panicked crab as the creature grasped the line mid-air and yanked the rod from my hands. Instinctively, I lunged at the handle, refusing to relinquish my tackle, despite whatever it was I had hooked. The rod and I were dragged across the grassy reaches. I jammed my heels into the verge as yet another hand broke the surface, reached out and wrapped its gnarly fingers around my left ankle. The grip tightened, and I was pulled in, rod and all. I closed my eyes as I sunk deeper, feeling a strange acceptance of my plight. I was dragged into the silent, forgiving depths, expecting to feel the oozing riverbed on my now naked feet. Of my rod, there was no trace. As my right foot entered the sludge, the hand let me go. I expected to float to the surface, but was sucked in up to my chest, the mud oozing around my nakedness, finding out my nooks and crannies as the muddied waters settled. I stood entombed, the pressure of mud squeezing the last of my breath. Above, through the gentle current, sunlight dappled the settling surface, and I regarded this beauty anew through minnowed eyes. Whatever had held me in its grip was proximate. I could sense its undulating, weighty presence, options being considered. Something moved behind me, and the creature's hands rested gently on my shoulders. The fingers tightened, and with a sudden firmness I was pushed further into the mud until I was fully entombed, my ears, eyes, and nostrils blocked. The hands withdrew, and I felt absence. All was stilled. Even my heart seemed to have ceased, and I waited alone, all sight and sound diminished to naught. With the weight of the mud, I was full fetal, yet felt no need of breath nor panic. All around me grew solid, immovable, and I lay a length of time beyond my reckoning, case hardened in rock that now bore my shape, my contours etched in a deeper strata. I await discovery. One day I will be released by a paleontologist's persistence, exposed in some latent era, categorized, understood in terms of existence, once alive, not extinct. Margaret. Sinead.
Thank you, Nick. Next up, can we have Jordan, please?
Yes, thank you. 2 poems. The first one is inspired by a Foo Fighters song, I would say. It's called Neighborhood in the Sky. There's a neighborhood in the sky. I can see Kurt, Jimmy, Rory, and Phil. Boys there too. Masterpieces created for, lives enhanced by. Guitars reverberate through clouds. Amps hop and skip along stars. Drum rolls motion a thunderous roar. Eagles soar, bass lines at the core. I'll never see them gig, never in the flesh. Resigned to archive and electric dreams to those who led extraordinary lives. And the second poem is after one of my favorite footballers, I should think. It's called A Beckham Special. Who's the GOAT, they ask, the greatest of all time? Whether you watched them dribble on screen or played against them in their prime. Some say Pele, some say best, but it could well be Beckham, just better than the rest. They'll throw at you the stats, they'll then argue why. For me, the answer is simple. Beck's had some right boot boy. The haircuts, the style, the Spice Girl, the name, all took the biggest name in football to an entirely different level of fame. The ref's whistle would chirp, a free in Beck's territory. He'd work his magic on the ball, top corner finishes echo throughout history. There were goals from halfway, majestic crosses from the wing. He'll forever be renowned for how he made a football sing. He'd glance towards goal, beyond the brave souls in the wall. He'd swipe his right boot mercilessly to put curl and flight on the ball. The pig's bladder would rise and swoop into the net. United fans everywhere believed this was the best goal yet. The thought of retirement, we tried to wrestle. Forevermore, we reminisce about the Beckham Special. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. And next up, we have Ada.
Yeah, thanks. I'd love to do a little bit of improvisation, like in the spirit of our wonderful workshop. Thank you, Matthew. It was amazing. Loved it. And I'd be grateful if you looked into the chat, because I'll be doing a blind tap thing. And then I will come up with the words I will use to make up a short song in the Da style. So this is gibberish, if you can see it. And then I just take what my brain suggests. So first, to me, looks like brief. It doesn't have to coincide. Second looks like, oh, I have no idea. So I have no idea, just skip it. The third word looks like oral. Let it be. Second, fourth doesn't make any sense to me either, but it could be like something left. I don't know. And the last word, for some reason, looks to me like obligation. I have no idea. It's just what the brain does. Okay, so 4 words, and I will do I'll just adjust myself with the wires there. Okay, so you cannot see the guitar, but it is there. Okay, so I'll just do the wires problem. Okay, so when I turn left, I have a brief oral obligation. When I turn left, I have a brief oral obligation. When I turn left, I have a brief oral obligation. That's all. That's what I came up with. I could go on for hours. I mean, like this in my
Thank
room.
you, Ada.
Sorry.
Thank you. Next up, we have Pam. Can you hear me, Pam?
Oh, I can now. Can y'all hear
Cool.
me? I lost y'all for a moment. I'll see if I
Perfect.
see
You're
if it
back.
holds.
It's been found, yeah.
Okay, here we go. An unkindness of ravens. Mama let go of me, caressing the white dog instead. A peekaboo gone wrong. Mama, did you run and hide? Sooty birds stretch across the cloudless sky. Steady flowing wing beats, accordion, folding and unfolding until they too are gone. Fingers curl round the rock heart Mama gave to me. An ache swells, but I blink it away. Holding my rock heart close to my beating one, I count my steps back to Mama. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Feet wash in the whisperings of the little creek, curl in a crease of a rock. Swooping green branches of the willow kiss the ground and weep with me. Whippoorwill, 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 a chanting lullaby. Moonlight cradles and caresses me, lending light to darkness. Sunrise sweeps night off the mountain. The ravens break day with me, deep, rasping calls. Acrobats of the sky, one flew upside down. I smile and extend my arms to fly with them to Mama. Sunlit cemetery stones nestle in the fold of the mountain. Phoebe, Phoebe, chorused by a throaty knocking call. Dandelions dangled, a fairy's crown for Mama. I count my steps back to Mama. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Catherine.
Woo! Great evening. Thanks, Matthew. Fantastic job. Thanks, everyone. I attempted a surrealist poem given the night that's in it, and I called it Queen. You strike me blue, artistic temperament, purple streaks, paint your canvas Pisces in a turquoise boat. I draw my lips shut. As usual, guests arrive. Sew them into dinner, wash them with wine. I study their teeth, match them to class. Eton, Cambridge, Yale. I went to Regina Mundi, Queen of the world. You went to Latin for the devil.
Thank you, Catherine. Next up we have Cathal Holden, please.
Hi guys, how you doing? I'm gonna read a little poem. I've been editing up a big one that but I'm not gonna do it. It's too fresh. I can do this poem. It's a little older. It's from the very last jazz festival that ever there was. I came back home at 5 a.m. to feed the cat after one of those nights. It's called Yowling for 5 a.m. Basil. How are you, black cat? Back from wild wanderings. Come here for a scratch and a bowl full of offerings. Push the heft of your head in the heel of my hand, and I'll tell you my stories, though you'll not understand. It's been a long night, dark one. Consider your soul blessed, my little black river of sacred self-interest. How did you spend it? Did you kiss the princess with the moon drops on rooftops and then back to the love nest? My 5 a.m. shadow, my pouncer and prince, dragging your dregs back out of the rinse. But I see you are bleeding, and that one looks fresh. As good as you got what you gave, I expect. You and I, brother, we have met with the law, that the lie of your land is as long as your claw. You and me, Black Cat, we've scratched and we bit, turning our coats from the fights we have fit. We have gone lonely and stubborn and hard for the unbroken half of an indigent heart. Purr for me, Mouser. Your day will come, when you stand on the world and declare you have won, kingly and calm, though the wind goes on howling. You and I, Black Cat, out all night, yowling. Thank you.
Thank you, Cathal. Next up, we have Ruth.
Hi, sorry. So I have a husband who breathes in bed. This is my poem to him. Wiping the kitchen, it's called Unsteady Breathing. By the way. Wiping the kitchen counters, I came to bed late, a crime punishable in your breaths. Dead to the world, open lips offer incessant guttural drawl. No rhythm or meter, reflex expression in improvised jazz vibration. Start. Exhausted anxiety ripples. Your head falls closer. Anti-allergy pillow. Earplugs. Desperation finds the crater in my side of the mattress. Sheets over shoulder. Quilt on your mouth. A brief suffocation. Disturbed, you turn on your side, and I am afforded a chance to drift with a content smile.
Thank you very much, Ruth. The quality has been so high so far, you must be absolutely exhausted from it. So being the responsible host that I am, I'm going to give you a break from the quality and read you a short and terrible piece of flash fiction. It's called Vintage. I dare say this may be the vintage of the century. I don't know how you do it, but hats off to you. I smiled as I raised a toast to my host. We had a long relationship from lecture circuits and conference dinners, but it was only this past month I was invited to holiday at his vineyard and help with the newest batch of wine. I noticed something very strange immediately upon arrival. There were no vines on this land, not a single grape to be seen. I decided he must have greenhouses, like those digital ones they use in Iceland to grow bananas. How efficient. Exactly what I would expect from my host, hailing as he does from Europe, where they are famously hardworking. And how original, just like his sensational academic works on 17th century folklore. After dinner, tucked up in the guest bedroom with the whole house asleep, the drink rushed to my head all at once. I decided I must have some cheese. I didn't want to intrude, creeping around my host's home, but my stomach would not be dissuaded. I quickly reached the kitchen, but there was scant food inside. I continued to hunt and found a pantry. How perfectly classic it is to have a pantry, much suited to my host and his timeless style. I found olives, bread, and oil, but still no cheese. At last, I located a large refrigerated door, like those at restaurants where they hang the unfortunate carcasses of our future lunches. Success, I thought, until I opened it and was met with the most ghastly sight imaginable. Something heavy hit me in the head before I could turn to flee, and I crumpled to the floor unconscious. I awoke, hanging upside down like a bat, with red tubes running from my elbows, knees, and neck. Now, I am a vintage myself, the best of the century, the next batch might say. Thank you. And without further ado, Susanna, if you would like to take it away.
Thank you. Okay, the first one is untitled. Empty your hands and fill them with a poem. Hold it with pleasure like the cheeks of your lover. Feel its weight, fresh, warm breath thou. And the second one is dedicated to my granddad. I didn't review it, I just put it together. Okay. I've done it again. I've stolen your Jewish harp and started slamming it on my teeth. I jump on my feet and try again. Drops of blood fall on my toes, but I'm stronger than the harp. Stop hurting yourself, he used to say. This time, the metal whips my lips, and I stop. The tomato sauce is ready. It's the same you used to make. Bittersweet, like your statements. I remember you staring it for 2 hours, wearing your cheap plastic sandals, too small for your war-torn toes. The light was pushing through the hot blinds, making dots all over the kitchen floor. What is the fork of my days that was twisting together the spaghetti of my life, first in a small bite and then into a bigger one? My thoughts are in the wind of my hair. In the afternoon, I was standing on the scooter while you drove me to buy that weird tasting cola. The man in the shop had such a hard, deep voice. Then we went fishing and I jumped into the bottomless sea. Pitch dark. I kept swimming away for the sake of hearing you screaming, whatever you were saying. I'm holding the harp in my hand, a small extension of your breath, a whisper in the warm winds of those long gone evenings, the cycads divided in chorus, the hiccups of the pigeons, after you made me win all our card tournaments and my resistance to fall asleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. And next up we have Margaret.
Thanks, Lauren. By the way, when I took down all the instructions for the substitution poetry in shorthand, so I have a verbatim account of it. I'll bring it on Monday night.
Will you ever explain that? Will you ever explain that, Margaret? Or is it your secret?
It's simply...
simply indecipherable.
Well, it's a long time ago in the 60s when I was a teenager. Poor people's children couldn't go to secondary school, so they were sent to the technical school. And that's what I learned in the technical school shorthand, and I still use it because I just love it so much.
Yeah, I'd appreciate those notes, Margaret, actually, because I wasn't fast enough following with any notes on my memories. Like,
yeah, I'll send them in to you before Monday, and we can discuss it on Monday.
That would be fantastic, actually. Yeah.
Anyway,
all right.
This is called Love Undiluted, and it's an acrostic poem. I have it written by hand there now, but Love Undiluted is written down the left-hand side. And as well, I had to study the brain for this. I had to study like synapses and things like cylinders firing and free-floating filaments and all those things. And I didn't know whether I had put them in the right places or not, but Doc Janning told me it was exactly correct. whether that's true or not is something else. Anyway, on Love Undiluted. Love, when it embeds, when it embodies, ought to be known, ought to notice, velvet-like softness, enveloping the mind and heart. Under the skin, under the rim, naked desire seething within, dreamily sending high voltage signals in sparks and synapses, connecting, lustily fusing, cylinders firing, undulating free-floating filaments, terminal throbbing, primed and longing, excitedly rushing towards neurotransmission, dripping, gushing in rapid release. Now I have another one because of the week that's in it. On Monday, it was International Women's Day. And the Debenhams workers were 333 days on strike on Monday. And because they're a majority of women, there are a handful of men, all right, but it's mainly women. And some of these workers have given 30 years service to Debenhams. And this is another acrostic, and it's the title of the trade union name for the campaign, and it's called The Devil Wears Debenhams. These Debenhams workers have paved the way every minute of every day. Dignified women and men are they, evil devils in Debenhams they face. Villainous vultures in boardroom culture, imagine they can, with their despicable plan, lord it over the workers they slammed. But workers thrown on the scrap heap erupt and fight back. Everyone so determined in this first COVID strike. A win for these workers is a win for us all, refusing to kowtow, not taking a fall. Staying the course in all 11 stores. Debenhams directors, contemptible, covetous cretins, each and every one a grasping, avaricious louse. By standing up together, wherever they gather, every one of these workers will go hell for leather. Non-ending solidarity at home and far afield has enveloped these brave fighters in a force field and revealed a strength and revelation so supremely divine, making them the spearhead of revolt during COVID, standing firm and steadfast in face of corporate greed. And on Monday, when I was down at the picket, there was a message of support and solidarity from a trade union in the US as well, in Virginia. And it's gone very international, the knowledge of it and everything. So I've been a political activist all my life, hence my interest in that. So thanks, Lauren.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you. And next up we have Kornelia.
Thank you, Lauren. I have two, and the second one is much shorter, and I think I will read that one after the first one to snap you back out of it. So this one is called Cycle 2 Meditation, and since it's called meditation, you can close your eyes when you listen to this. Imagine a tiny cottage in the middle of a field. Yes, good. Keep going. Now, visualize every little detail of your beautiful cottage. I need you to see the size, the colors. Now, please imagine all the windows, all the doors. You are doing good. The speaker turns their head to the side and nods silently. Maybe you can see some flowers, pots, vegetables, or trees. Beautiful. Imagine the sun beaming on your green and yellow cottage. Maybe you can see which side is illuminated. Very good. You are doing well. You are safe. Keep imagining your cottage. Perhaps the crimson arch door has a sun-kissed pathway leading you to the garden. Very nice. The speaker turns their head to the side and mouths, locate it. So that's the first one. And the second is called exhaustion. Your head is bopping to your heart space. If you let the boulder brain spiral and fall backwards, your neck will snap like porcelain, ripple on the body like eggshells. Only pieces of broken mirror will be left on your rocking chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Cornelia. And next up we have Rosalin Blue, aka Sue Blue.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, beautiful evening altogether. I've been looking through my own poetry, which I would kind of slightly have as filed under surrealism, and I note that most of them are actually 5-word challenges, which would add that to the games that actually, you know, is great for triggering. Like, it's basically, you know, gathering 5 words randomly, in this case from the audience, and then writing something on that within 15 minutes. That doesn't give you that much time to reflect. So I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to read my most favorite of those surrealist kind of most unconsciously written poems that came out of that from Ovale. So this is called Blackout Moon. The orange moon shimmering behind dimming clouds, pushing past in heaving droves. On land and sea the night goes wild, the storm is chasing life and light, and with a bang the moon goes out. In the darkness of this blackout, at the bottom of the ocean, gather casts of wild crustaceans, lobsters, spider crabs and shrimps, clickety-clack in marching motion, shoving forward, upward, out. While above, deep in the outback, in the blackout of the moon, through the parched and dry savannah, quietly bounds in sleepy mood, with dreams of oranges and flowers, the big-eyed, friendly kangaroo. And the tiger in the jungle sees the orange blackout moon and wants to follow the saltations of the friendly kangaroo as he's dreaming of crustaceans in the floods of the monsoon. So what's the moral of this story? See, the blackout of the moon lures out all the varied creatures, marching, dreaming, hunting, wild, like the storm is chasing life, moving forward from the darkness, climbing upward to the light, searching safety, finding night. That's it.
Thank you very much. And last up, unless if anybody hasn't read and they would like to read, now is your last opportunity to throw that in the chat. And otherwise we have Mags. Oh, you're on mute, Mags.
It's funny, where usually at the other improv nights, always my name is overlooked and I look like I'm waiting to the end. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, okay. I tell you what I'll do, try to do something quick and random. The most crazy 5-word challenges, I couldn't read them in a fit because actually the word's too strong. It was vomit and everything. I picked one that I did last year because it only got one airing. It's called Kyote Coyote. And the words were dark, smell, peat, cadence, and wire. And I just do a short improv song as well. So, Coyote, Kyote. Golashes squelched a gloopy cadence, squidged his way through the bog. Sepia water dripped from peaty wedges that he had sliced with his salon. A scent of earthy perfume lifted with the wind, full of damp bog cotton, bonan bui, cuckoo flower. Small birds clung to telephone wires strung across Norwegian tree trunks. His eyes misted over at the thought of the blight on his horizon. His Lena spare, his heirloom. Running along to Camanea, a perfect brim to the west wind. Soon they tilt, the windmills, rising giant convoys section by section in heavy girth. Concord of plant and cert by sect. My sky. He had a plan. Mounted Honda like Don Quixote, a stick of the queer stuff for each pocket, to warm the cockles of each truck, and that'll soften their cough. Fiery eyes whirled wild within his own windmill of his own mind. So the other weird thing I had to do, because I'm with the Songwriters Project and they give us unusual challenges, and one of the ones they asked us to was a James Bond song. So it is completely the opposite into my spectrum, but I'll give you what came out on the night anyway. And it's called Don't Wake Up Dead, and it wasn't the best by far. So it's a short song. So are we okay in time there, Lauren? Yeah. Okay. Don't wake up dead. Those were the last words that you said. And then I knew that you disappeared. Double knows what I read, a note beside my bed. And then I knew that you'd been here. Beware of those hidden shady guys in the dark disguise. They'll watch you with those hidden cobra eyes. They'll hypnotize, but you can't die tonight. You're the guy with the precious gun. I knew from the first day you'd be the one, but one woman would never be enough. This much I know, that I still burn for you. It's meant to be tongue in cheek, guys. You are near, you're far, over the oceans, lonely stars, across the vast wide galaxies. You will chase them down, and you are haunted now. The carousel of destiny. Beware of those hidden shade guys with their dark disguise. They'll watch you with their hidden cobra eyes. They will hypnotize, but you can't die tonight. Don't you wake up dead. Those were the last words that you said. And then I knew that you disappeared. Double knows what I read, a note beside my bed. And then I knew that you've been here. Don't wake up dead. I think no Spanish guitar in it, but it was outside my genre and I did it in the night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mags. Thank you. And thank you to everyone on the open mic. We had Brian, Vale, Cathal 1958, Nick, Jordan, Ada, Pam, Catherine, Cathal, Holden, Ruth, myself, Susanna, Margaret, Cornelia, Rosalin, Blue, and Mags. So round of applause for everyone. That was really fantastic. And of course, thank you again to Matthew for that wonderful workshop and reading, and I think it's given us a lot of inspiration, a lot of stuff to think about and some ideas for our work. Thank you. And I think the last thing I have to say is that our next session is coming up on the 21st of next month, where we will be featuring Disposable Stories. It's a Cork-based ekphrastic publication, so it's going to be an ekphrastic themed session, which is ekphrastic loosely being some sort of poetic or, you know, words response to physical art or photographs or paintings and stuff like that. So we'll be having a reading on that topic, and we'll be explaining some ekphrastic stuff. We'll be having an ekphrastic exercise, and it will be fantastically ekphrastically wonderful. Okay, thank you. I'll give it over to you, Moze, in case I've forgotten anything.
Well, no, you've included everything. It's ekphrastic. It's the word of 2021. It's a surreal world as well. Okay, thank you everyone. Cork Arts Office as well, we hope. And thank you, Margaret and Lauren, for facilitating. Thank you, audience, for open micing and applauding. And thank you very much, Matthew, for giving us the beautiful goods that you're known for. And thank you for teaching us. That's great. Maybe we can stay on for another hour. No, let's go. Let's go. Thanks very much. See you again at the 24th, and lovely being here. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well done, gang.
Bye-bye.